Welcome back to the channel, and today we're talking WWE 2K20 and we're talking updated superstars. Now in my previous video we talked about how the creation suite could help update your superstars in the next installment of the WWE games franchise. In this video I want to expand upon that, but also talk about what 2K can do for this year's game. Now before we get into it, I want to make sure you're subscribed to the channel with the notification bell turned on so you stay up to date with all my WWE games content. So my 2K Creation Suite Superstar update video, which you can check out via the link in the description box below, I talked about how we could update superstars within the Creation Suite. So I used an example of Bobby Roode being changed to Robert Roode and us being able to update from his beard to his mustache. Now I talked about this in other areas. I talked about hair being changed or changing the chest hair of a superstar, you being able to remove it from the base superstar. So you're not just having to go and create alternative attires, you can also edit the in-game version of the superstar when it comes to their facial features and their body features. You can't do that at present. All you can do at the moment is edit the attires and maybe add, some hair dye to the superstar. So again, if you want to check that out in more detail, you can in the description box below. But it got me thinking more about what 2K can do before we even get to that stage. Now, what I mean by this is that we tend to find the current superstars on the main roster are usually up to date. They are fine unless there are any types of issues. For example, a Baron Corbin where he shaved his head and it was a little bit too late. So 2K had already progressed with his long hair version for WWE 2K19. Now if we had the option that I talked about in my previous video, that would be great because we could go in and remove the hair and make him bald. But in other instances, like Legends, we don't tend to get the updated version of the legend. Now, of course, that makes sense for guys like Andre the Giant. He's passed. And for other superstars that are no longer active or heavily involved with the WWE. I understand why you want to go back and have that historical version. But there are some superstars that kind of tend to flutter in and out of the WWE. And I think that we should get an updated version of those superstars in the game, not just the historical version, because then you could use that superstar, for example, as a GM because you've got that current aged version. Now I'm going to use one main example, and that example is the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. Now Shawn Michaels is in and out of the WWE quite a bit, and he also helps out on NXT. So Shawn Michaels is a great example where over the years WWE games have always stuck with the historical versions of HBK. At times they've been going back years, and it's only recently they've started to acknowledge a more current version, but it's still not up to date. And we should be able to have that in the game because, of course, Shawn Michaels participated at the greatest Royal Rumble event in Saudi Arabia, teaming up with Triple H to take on the Undertaker and Kane, the Brothers of Destruction, and he performed amazingly. Still hasn't skipped a beat, has the Heartbreak Kid. And that's why I think you should have that version of Shawn Michaels in a WWE game. The version without the hair, the bald version of Shawn Michaels, a current aged version. I would love to have used that version of Shawn Michaels this year in my WWE 2K universe mode, but I couldn't because it's not there. And I think it gives a true reflection of what the superstar looks like. And I know maybe some people will say, well, he's not an active member of the WWE roster. So what? He still plays a part in WWE, so why can't we have a current version? Another superstar that I'd like to think about as well is Edge. Now Edge chopped his hair off years ago. He did it a long time ago. He retired, but he still kind of has a little bit of involvement in WWE here or there. He's on the WWE network quite a bit. So why not give us that short-haired version of Edge too? We've had the same version of Edge year after year, and again, a superstar which I'd love to use the current version of as a general manager or as an authoritative figure in my universe. So I think it would just give us that alternative option. Now I want to get your views and opinions on this in the comments. Some people might say, oh well, again, you're just duplicating slots, and I do agree. There are too many duplicated slots in a WWE game. We seem to have tons of versions of the same superstar, but I will say this, plenty of those versions don't look that much different. It's a bit like the Daniel Bryan showcase that we had in 2K19. We had so many versions of Daniel Bryan, but for the most part, a fair few of them just looked the same. It was only the short-haired version that really looked majorly different. So I just think if there has been a drastic change to the superstar, and that superstar is still involved in WWE in some capacity, even though they're not a part of the main roster, I think you should get the updated version. Now there could be a lot of issues with this, because it could come down to the superstar allowing you to do that. It could be a case that the superstar only wants to actually be seen as the historical version, because that's how they wrestled in the past. And I don't know about this, but I still think Shawn Michaels has a little bit of an issue that he has gone bald. Because Shawn Michaels always wears a hat. He even wore the headband or whatever it was supposed to be to try and cover it up just a bit. I think he should just embrace the baldness. It's not that bad, but he did try and cover it up, and it just makes me wonder that if he would really want his current version in a WWE game. But from my perspective as a player and somebody that wants to have that version, I just think it would be great, because you have a lot of options then of what you can do with that superstar. One, you could wrestle with that superstar, or two, it could become a GM or an authoritative figure for your universe. So what do you guys think of this? And I will give you a reverse situation where the superstar kind of used a current look and the old historical version didn't work. So this is the complete opposite of what I'm talking about, and that was in 2K19 with the Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle. They used an updated version of Kurt Angle for his face scan, not completely current, but it was enough for his wrestling machine gimmick. However, they used that same face scan for his Attitude Era version, and it didn't work at all. It was an aged Kurt Angle for a time when he was much younger, and I'm not entirely sure if it was the face scan, because Kurt Angle, you know, his face hasn't changed too drastically, but the hairpiece that was plonked on, no. So it might have been that they could have got away with it if they'd just done a bit more work with the head sculpt and the hair, but something wasn't right there. But anyway, I digress. So back to what I was talking about. Would you like to see 2K take these steps for WWE 2K20? Would you like to see the current version of historical talent? So like I said, Shawn Michaels being in the game with his current version, with his bald version. And of course, if we had the additional option of what I talked about in my other video, and let's just say, for example, Shawn Michaels decides to change his facial hair or become clean shaven, you could then go into the creation suite, you'd have the bald Shawn Michaels, and then you could simply remove the facial hair to ensure he stays up to date. So you get the best of both worlds, and also, I was just thinking about this, it just kind of sprung to mind, it also gives you that versatility to create your very own version of the Heartbreak Kid. Whether or not you want to give him hair or not, or give him facial hair. And I think that would be very cool, because we all love going into the community creations and downloading custom attires. We love going into the creation suite and creating attires. So it just is an added option that we can go and create the superstar that we want. We can give Shawn Michaels the look we've always thought he should have, much like we do with our attires. I think again it would just be another creative aspect that people could get really stuck into. So what do you think about these ideas? What do you think 2K should do? Which superstars would you like to see with a current version that we never get in a WWE game? Another one as well is the Undertaker. Now, yeah, okay, the Undertaker kind of looks how he does these days, but I always kind of feel it's not truly the updated version of the Undertaker. We kind of go off an old scan each time. I'd like to get a more updated, aged version of Taker if possible, but you know, I'm just throwing that in there as well. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments section below. I think these two combined, so what I said in my previous video and this, would be perfect. And it would give the game longevity, and it would give you more options when it comes to superstars. But for now, all that's left to be said, and if you have got any other topics you'd like me to talk about when it comes to the creation suite or anything else regarding WWE 2K20, be sure to put that in the comment section. I read all the comments and they will be noted. But for now, please rate, comment and subscribe. This is Delzinski signing out.